Welcome back to the channel. We're going to continue right where we left off, and we're still here inside the rotunda. Today's story is a bit sad, and it's a part of history that carries real weight. Not everything here is light or easy to hear. Let's head to the other side of the church where one of the most remarkable wartime events took place and explore what's inside this area. Here we see the memorial of Don Felice Calleja, one of the most important figures in the history of the Rotunda of Mosta. He served as parish priest here from 1797 until his death in 1833. He was the one who first envisioned building a larger church for the growing community. Some say he was present during the World War II bombing, but that's a misconception. His true legacy lies in creating this remarkable church and shaping the identity of the town. We're now headed toward the back of the church, the area connected to one of the most well-known stories in Malta. During World War II, a bomb fell through the dome while people were gathered inside. It didn't explode, even with hundreds present at the time. This moment has been remembered ever since, not just as history, but as something deeply personal. This is a detailed stone model of the rotunda. It was created in 1925 by a local amateur sculptor, Fabrizio Bartolo. Even at a smaller scale, you can appreciate the precision of the design, the dome, the structure, the proportions. It reflects how important this building is, not just architecturally, but also culturally. Nearby, you'll find a replica of the bomb, identical to the German one. The original fell through the dome during an air raid in 1942. It landed inside the church during a service and it didn't explode. For many, this became known as the Mosta miracle. Whether seen as chance, engineering failure, or something more, the impact of that moment is undeniable. These are some original pictures taken after the bomb fell through the dome roof. They also show the aftermath of the 1942 air raid inside the church. As we move deeper inside, notice how the atmosphere shifts. Different sections of the church feel more intimate. You'll see smaller details begin to stand out. Altars, carvings, and subtle decorations. Despite its size, the rotunda is made up of many smaller spaces, each with its own purpose. We're now in the sacristy. This is where preparations for services take place, a functional space behind the main public area. It's quieter here, more private, away from the open space of the main church. The atmosphere feels more reflective in this part of the building. If you're enjoying the video, consider subscribing. In fact, most people watching the channel are not yet subscribed. Your support really helps the channel grow. We're now entering the praying space and the altar area. These spaces are often calmer and designed for reflection. You can feel the difference immediately. It's a place meant for stillness and reflection, a contrast to the scale and openness of the main dome. Inside this space, everything feels softer. The surroundings are quieter with a more personal atmosphere. The church interior is truly remarkable. Every detail adds to its sense of grandeur. From the dome above to the carefully designed space below, it all comes together beautifully. It leaves a lasting impression on anyone who steps inside. We're now entering the air raid shelter beneath the church. During World War II, spaces like this were essential. They provided protection during air raids, a place where people could wait, often in uncertainty, as bombs fell above. This space is quite narrow. It makes moving around and recording a bit difficult, but it still adds to the unique feel of this area. As we go further in, the space becomes even tighter. It gives a sense of what life here would have been like. Crowded and tense, these shelters were not comfortable but necessary. You'll see this sign here along the way. It's a simple message, but it reflects the reality of the time. Even in shelter, there were no guarantees, and it's a quiet reminder of how uncertain those moments were. As we move along, there are several showcases representing different roles and trades from that time. Each one reflects how people adapted daily life even during war. Shelter digging tools. These were used to carve the tunnels by hand. Simple equipment, but essential for the work. They were used to create safe spaces underground during wartime. It's hard to imagine how much effort it took with such basic tools. The stonemason. Stonemasons shaped the limestone used across Malta. Their skills built homes, churches, and even shelters like these. The blacksmith. Blacksmiths worked with metal, tools, hinges, structural elements. Their work supported both everyday life and wartime needs. The tinsmith. Tinsmiths created household items, containers, utensils, small tools, practical objects that people relied on daily. The carpenter. Carpenters built furniture, doors, and structural elements. Woodwork was essential even in difficult times. The seamstress, clothing repairs and handmade garments. During wartime, resources were limited, so repairing was as important as creating. The washer. Laundry may seem simple, but it remained part of daily life, even during conflict. Routine helped maintain a sense of normality. The barber. Barbers weren't just for grooming, they were social figures, places where people talked and shared news. The ARP Warden's Post. Wardens were responsible for guiding civilians during air raids, enforcing blackout rules, and helping maintain order. ARP stands for Air Raid Precautions. They played a key role in keeping people safe. The kitchen. Even in shelters, food preparation continued. Simple meals shared among families helped maintain morale. Right ahead, to the right, you'll see the only exit open to visitors. This is the designated way out of the shelter. It leads you back up to the surface. Up here, as we climb the steps, there's more to see. This area reveals another part of the shelter. However, some passages are not open to visitors, they remain closed, adding a sense of mystery to the space. The farmers kept food production going. Malta relied heavily on local agriculture, especially during wartime shortages. The cobbler, an essential role in times like these. Shoes had to be repaired and maintained. Nothing was wasted. Here is one of the passages that is not open to visitors. It remains closed off to the public. Some areas are preserved exactly as they were. The sharpener, another essential role. Tools needed to be kept in good condition to remain useful. Blades and equipment were sharpened regularly. The potter, the last one. Pottery provided storage, cooking tools, and everyday items. Simple but essential. We've reached the end of the tunnel. This is as far as visitors can go. This is the part that's open to the public. You can now understand what people experienced here. It leaves a lasting impression of life during those difficult times. And this is where we end today's journey. Thank you for walking with me. I'll see you in the next episode.